That's what I'm saying. It's actually so ridiculous to dismiss something like that because you assume that it's old and therefore out of date or something. Like that's such a stupid reason to dismiss something. It's like, man, you could listen to it, and they're like, yeah, I get it. It's like, I don't think you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually do that. Actually go and live it and then see what happens. And without some attitude of like, I tried it for a day and nothing happened. Like, you didn't let it really penetrate and like understand that, go learn more things so that it becomes clear to you.
Thousands of years later, these truths are still relevant. Alright guys, have you ever wondered about Zoroastrianism? Well, we have another Cogito reaction video for you where it is going to be fully explained for you.
Love Cogito, it's the best.
Now, I honestly, up until this video, I'd never even heard of Zoroastrianism. So if there are any Zoroastrians out there, please write in the comments. We want to know, what your practices are, or tell us about your faith or what you believe in.
Yeah. So far, the Muslims are winning for engagement. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could say who's in last place.
And then the Hindus are close behind there in terms of engaging and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
they're just
Sikhs too.
Yeah, the different. It's just interesting that everybody's got a different level of interaction. And anytime we post something, because we post we try to touch on all the religions. If you're out there and you got a religion we've never even heard of,
let us know.
Absolutely, let us know, because we'd love to cover that.
All right, well, let's get into this reaction.
What do Emperor Xerxes, Freddie Mercury, and Ireland's richest citizen, Blondie Mystery, have in common? All of them are Zoroastrians, the ancient religion of Iran. This is one of the oldest ongoing religions and altered the course of human history by influencing Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Greek philosophy. But today it only has a fraction of the millions of followers it once had. So what is Zoroastrianism? What do Zoroastrians believe? And where do otters fit into all of this? Well, let's find out.
Love otters.
Yeah.
Zoroastrianism was born in ancient Iran at least 3,500 years ago. It all began around 1500 BCE, give or take a few centuries, with the prophet Zarathustra, or Zoroaster, as the ancient Greeks called him, and so English speakers do too. While we call the religion Zoroastrianism, actual Zoroastrians tend to call it Mazda, meaning worshipper of Mazda. No, not that Mazda, but it actually was named after the Mazda that I'm going to explain shortly. Zoroastrianism was the chief religion of Iran for around 1,000 years. Between the 6th century BCE and the 10th century CE, it was the state religion of three huge Iranian empires. The Achaemenid Empire, of 300 fame, along with the Parthian and Sasanian empires. Back then, the priests of Zoroastrianism were known as magi. The ancient Greeks thought these magi had secret magical knowledge since they understood complex astronomy. This led to the English words magic, mage, and magician. The magi would even show up in the Bible. According to the Gospel of Matthew, 3 Zoroastrian magi came to visit the baby Jesus.
That's pretty cool, eh?
He's got a beard like you. That one guy.
The guy in the front camera.
Yeah. Hey, wait a sec. I'm more like the guy just behind him. What the hell? What were you going to say?
No, I just think it's cool that Zoroastrians are actually mentioned in the Bible. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
3 wise men, as they are known in English, are still celebrated by Christians around the world on January 6th. Eventually, the Sasanian Empire would fall to the Muslim Arabs during their invasion of Iran in the 7th century CE, which started the decline and persecution of Zoroastrians in Iran. Following this, in the 10th century, some Iranian Zoroastrians fled to India, forming the Parsi community, named after where they came from, which the Indians called Persia. This once refugee community now forms the largest group of Zoroastrians anywhere on Earth, and they've settled in quite well. One of India's largest businesses, Tata Group, was founded by Zoroastrians, and Parsis played a massive role in winning Indian independence from Britain. Zoroastrians can now be found all over the world. Historically, they've emigrated to areas such as Singapore, Hong Kong, and parts of Africa, such as the island of Zanzibar, where Freddie Mercury's Parsi parents would later emigrate from to the UK. In the last 100 years, small Zoroastrian populations have moved to the UK, US, Australia, and Canada. Today, there are about 200,000 Zoroastrians left. About 60,000 live in India, while the second largest group of about 25,000 lives in Iran. With a religion being called Zoroastrianism, I think maybe it's about time we spoke about Zoroaster. We don't know much about Zoroaster's life. We can't even pinpoint when he lived. The Greeks thought he lived 6,000 years before the death of Plato, so around 6,347 BCE-ish, while modern historians place him somewhere around 1,700 to 1,000 BCE. During this time, the peoples of Iran believed in many different gods, some of which were similar to the gods of their ancient Hindu neighbours. What we do know is that Zoroaster was the priest of the pre-Zoroastrian religion of Iran, and that he was outraged by his society. Roving bands of drunken warriors would ravage the countryside. They pillaged, tortured, and slaughtered at will. The common people lived in constant fear and misery, while priests obsessed over obscure rituals and sacrifices that offered little guidance or hope to the suffering. Zoroaster couldn't stand this injustice. So, when he was 30 years old, Zoroaster went down to a river to fetch water for a ceremony. There he received a vision from a being of pure light and goodness.
Where have we heard that story before? Isn't it amazing? Once again, bam! Remember how in the Sikhism story that it was the same, the guy was like in a river doing the same thing.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. Off in isolation doing something, and then God comes and visits him.
Yeah, I was thinking about the age that he was 30. I'm like, these guys, all these prophets like Zoroaster and Jesus and Muhammad, they're all past the age of 30.
Yeah.
It's never like a guy in his 20s. You know what I mean? And we had a boss one time that said you can't know anything till you're 30. For some guys, it's 35.
Yeah.
That was like a thing he said. You don't know anything till you're 30.
Yeah. I said God, but it looks like it might be an angel or something here. But
I wonder if the world will see the first prophet in their 20s arrive on the scene, or if that's just like a law of nature that's never going to happen.
Yeah. It might have something to do with like you're not old enough for enough people to, take you seriously enough.
Yeah, but think about like I wonder.
It's like Greta Thunberg, like way too, before your time. Sister.
That played a big part of it. You know what I mean? People are like, I'm not listening to a kid. Yeah. But it kind of shouldn't, because if you're telling the truth, then your age really shouldn't matter. Like, that's kind of stupid, actually.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I guess that's all I have to say about that.
Ahura Mazda, who revealed that they were the one true God. The truth of how the universe worked was revealed to Zoroaster, and he knew that it was now his divine mission to spread this truth to his fellow humans. So, what are the core beliefs of Zoroastrianism? Well, 1. Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu. Zoroastrians worship one uncreated, eternal god known as Ahura Mazda, which means wise lord. Zoroaster describes Ahura Mazda as the lord of order, something completely good, loving, infinitely wise, and the creator of the world and all good things. Ahura Mazda is supported by 6 holy immortals known as the Amesha. These 6 holy immortals are
Every religion's so cool with the images, you know what I mean? Like
those look like tarot cards.
I'm sure I've got some kind of issue that makes me, only pay attention to this stupid shit, but I love
it's not stupid.
They look like tarot cards to me, which is cool, and
the art's cool.
And all these religions that we cover have cool art.
Yeah. I'd also like to note in what he's talking about here. Remember how when we were studying Islam and Muhammad came and brought like order and structure to like all the ridiculous nonsense that was going on? It's a very similar story here. How the priests were all like caught up in nonsense and everything like that. And it was a lack of order, and someone comes and brings order.
That's what happened with Jesus.
Yeah, and remember we were talking with like religions and structure, how it seems to be like this bottling down of like, chaos around, and then like it gets organized and simplified and brought into like a tight net belief.
Yeah, that's like the very story of pantheism and versus like
monotheism,
things turning into monotheistic. And you're right, like chaos being, like you said, bottlenecked into a simpler belief code, you know? Like, think about even Jesus, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, he came in, he criticized the hell out of the scribes and the Pharisees, and they were like, well, what's the greatest commandment? And he was like, love thy neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Love is the greatest commandment.
Love God with all your heart, soul, mind. Love your neighbor as yourself.
As if there's a greatest commandment to have.
Yeah.
As if there's like a simpler, this will give you evidence, will make you do all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Normally compared to archangels in Christianity, if that helps you kind of figure out what their position is. Sometimes there is a seventh Spenta called Spenta Manu, but maybe he's also the Holy Spirit of Ahura Mazda? Sometimes Ahura Mazda also has a parent called Zurvan, who is time itself, but that's considered heresy at this point. Look, we don't have a lot of time to get into it. Honestly, it's a very old religion. There have been many different interpretations over the last 3,000 years. I'm really just simplifying and providing the most commonly accepted current beliefs. So keep that in mind, and as always, there's more information in the description. Opposed to Ahura Mazda is Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit, and his evil minions known as Devas. Angra Mainyu is the complete polar opposite of Ahura Mazda. He is darkness, deceit, death, and decay. He is a corrupting parasite seeking to destroy Ahura Mazda's creation and is responsible for all negative things in the world. Ahura Mazda is light, Angra Mainyu is darkness. Ahura Mazda is the creator, Angra Mainyu the destroyer. Ahura Mazda created light, fire, compact Japanese vehicles, joy, humanity, puppies probably. Angra Mainyu gave the world disease, rust, mold, darkness, and that little piece of skin that pops up around your fingernail that hurts so much. Why, Angra Mainyu? Why? Zoroastrians think everything is a battle between these two opposites. Ahura Mazda represents the truth, Angra Mainyu the lie. For humans, life is a constant choice between the truth and the lie, which may be difficult because Angra Mainyu can be very deceiving. Before time began, Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu were separated by an infinite void. They respectively lived in infinite light and infinite darkness. Then Ahura Mazda created the physical or Getig world. Angra Mainyu crawled into this new world and polluted it. They made the ocean salty, they turned the good earth into desert, killed the first human, made plants wither, and polluted fire with smoke. We now live in a time Zoroastrians refer to as the Gumezishin, or the mixture. Good and evil, truth and the lie, both exist together in our world.
I don't know if they decide to do this on purpose, but it looks like they're using kind of like the yin-yang colors there with
Cogito?
Yeah. Like a mixture. You can see even with the letters on the screen there how you've got a little bit of white in the black and a little bit of black in the white.
So well done, actually. Now that you're bringing to my attention, I'm like, with the animation and everything, these are like quite the production.
Yeah. And just, interesting note there.
Yeah.
But Angra Mainyu's presence is temporary. They are a stain on the world rather than a permanent fixture. Zoroastrians see the physical world as a trap that Ahura Mazda lured Angra Mainyu into. Now trapped in the physical world, Angra Mainyu can be defeated slowly by the good thoughts, good words, and good deeds of humans working with Ahura Mazda. 2. Heaven and Hell. Zoroastrians believe that when a person dies, their soul leaves their body. Their soul is then led to the bridge of judgment. Above this bridge lies heaven, below hell. Here the soul's good and bad deeds are weighed on a scale. Depending on the balance of good to evil deeds, the soul ascends to heaven, a paradise of infinite bliss called the abode of song, or falls down to hell.
Yeah, wasn't that similar in Islam too?
It was.
Yeah,
like
wasn't that extremely...
you know what it is we've seen so many different religions at this point.
It's all blending together.
The similarities are standing out to us, but there are a lot of unique things about this. There's also like tons of, obviously it's its own thing.
Yeah. Different names and like how it came about, and I'm sure within the structure of the belief and like what people are doing, you're gonna find differences. But there's nothing wrong with noticing the similarities all at the same time too.
Part of what's highlighting the similarities, I think, is that we've learned about a lot of religions through Cogito.
Yeah.
And the method of explaining it might be, maybe that's part of the point, is to kind of is to show the similarities here.
Yeah.
There is a use in understanding the similarity of your belief to other beliefs.
Yes.
I know that might be hard sometimes, but I think if you can look at it objectively, I think that there's like a well of wisdom and that just unlocked a key in my brain to realize how similar these things are.
Yeah.
But again, it is unique. Like those 3 characters at the top there. I want to learn more.
Yeah.
To suffer, quote, long age of misery, darkness, bad food, and the crying of woe. This is called England. I mean, sorry. This is called Duzak. There is also a medium place for people who are neither good nor evil, where they kind of just float and experience nothing. Servants, as well as masters, can reach paradise. People will be judged according to how they chose to live their lives, rather than wealth or prestige. For Zoroastrians, death represents the highest form of pollution. Death only exists because of Angramanyu. Upon the death of a Zoroastrian, a priest will be called to perform a ceremony, after which the soul of the person will no longer be considered connected to the body. The family then says their goodbyes without touching the body, and the body will be placed on a stone slab and carried away by special corpse bearers. Since dead bodies are so polluting, Zoroastrians would never think to pollute any of the sacred elements with them, those being fire, water, earth, etc. So the traditional method to dispose of bodies, used for thousands of years, has been the Tower of Silence. Within these open-roofed stone towers, located on the top of barren hills, bodies will be laid to rest on stone slabs, as to not pollute the earth, and then eaten by vultures, normally within a few hours. The bones are bleached in the sun and quickly disintegrate into dust. By feeding the birds, the deceased offers up one final good deed of charity before crossing over the bridge. However, in the 1930s, the Iranian government banned the use of the towers, and currently towers in India are suffering from a shortage of birds.
Jeez.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I maybe paused at the wrong time there, but I was just going to say, sometimes even in death rituals, like, this is maybe going to sound morbid, but there's something fascinating and kind of beautiful about that. The Tower of Silence, with the way they do that is, and the fact that, it's highlighted by the fact that it actually gave back to the environment from
that might be like the first time I ever heard of a body not being like burned or like buried or shot out into space. It's the first time I've ever heard of like we're gonna just leave it out.
Yeah.
I don't know any other culture that does that.
And it's amazing that they put an end to that when it's probably the most bio-friendly,
that's a good point.
Way to
feeds
do
the
it.
Environment or something.
Everything else is like burn them up,
Yeah, but it would be so like you can't just go put bodies in the forest, man. Like imagine like it'd be weird, kids' family walking through the forest and like, oh, there's a skull.
No, they put them in the Tower of Silence.
Yes, in that case, but again, they said in India they ran out of birds, so now he was about to explain what happened there.
But maybe it's because they stopped feeding the birds bodies.
No, I don't know. I have to listen. All right.
Due to increased urbanization and pollution. Today, many Zoroastrian communities use special burial grounds or have turned to electrical cremation or even using solar reflectors to harness the power of the sun to break down the bodies rather than polluting fire. 3. The Apocalypse. The battle between Ahura Mazda and Angramanyu will continue for thousands of years, but eventually a savior, or Saushant, will be born to a virgin mother who will lead people against the forces of evil and bring about the end times. The earth will be swallowed by fire, molten metal will cover everything. The good people will pass through this molten river, while the bad people will burn and be purified. The gates of hell will open, the souls of the damned will be released and redeemed, and everyone will live together in eternal bliss. Honestly,
come on, you gotta note, the savior will be born to a virgin?
Yeah, but come on, man. Like, here's the thing.
I'm just saying the similarity. I'm not saying anything negative about that. I'm just saying, like, let's like acknowledge that this religion is what we're learning here is like way before the birth of Christ.
One thing I'll say about all these religions, including this one, is that it's not the same thing to have a thousands-year-old religion as it is to be some huckster, that's just like selling some cheap shit that lasts 20 years and then everybody gets arrested because it's a cult. It's not the same thing.
Oh no.
If you can suspend like a scoffing attitude, and I'm not accusing you of that. I'm mentioning this because this is a new religion for us. there is like crazy wisdom if you look closely and you suspend all your judgments about it. It's like, I bet you there's some scientifically shocking reasons for some of the practices and stuff they do. Yeah. And even some of the beliefs they have. Also, I noticed everybody gets to go to heaven in the end, even the damned souls or something. Is that what they said?
I missed that part. I don't know.
It was like in the end everybody gets to go to heaven. I thought it said, which I'm like, that's.
I don't know. To me, it sounded like he said everyone, like the bad people get burned up and like they're gone.
Oh, okay. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought maybe for a second they were saying that those.
Let us know in the comments.
The burned up people recycle or something and then make it too. Somebody
start
a religion where everybody gets to go to heaven.
It all sounds pretty metal. Angra Mainyu, finally defeated by Ahura Mazda, and humanity's good thoughts, words and deeds will be tossed back into the black abyss they crawled out of and defeated forever. This last judgment / apocalypse is called the Frasho Karidi, meaning renewal, as in the renewal of Ahura Mazda's originally perfect creation. 4. The 3 Gs. The most important concept in Zoroastrianism after Ahura Mazda is Asha. This is an ancient Avestan word and is difficult to translate. Asha is truth, wisdom, goodness, justice, perfection, order and progress all rolled into one word. Asha is the path of Ahura Mazda. Zoroastrians try their best to follow the path of Asha. To help humanity follow Asha, Ahura Mazda gave them Vohu Mana, or good mind. This allowed humans to recognize right from wrong. Good mind lets us see injustice and feel that it is unjust. Through good mind, Ahura Mazda gave humans free will. This means a lot to Zoroastrians because choice is extremely important to their beliefs. From our good mind, we can have good thoughts, and from good thoughts follow good words, and then good deeds. Doing good thoughts, good words, and good deeds is the core of Zoroastrian belief. Good deeds such as taking part in your community, supporting others through tough times, standing up against injustice, fighting poverty, nursing the sick, and subscribing to educational YouTube channels all help in the battle against Angra Mainyu. This is why in India, Zoroastrians are known for their support of orphanages, shelters, and many different charities. It was Zoroaster that said, "Happiness comes to them who bring happiness to others." 5. Fire. Zoroastrians see fire.
That's a good saying.
That is a good saying and easy to, take for granted. Happiness comes from bringing happiness to others, because there's another way of saying it is almost like if you're against reality, it'll be against you. But if you're against others, they'll be against you. If you're for others, they'll be for you. Yeah. I believe that there's some deep wisdom in that.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I think we also take for granted the time in which probably the structure of this all came out. I'm betting back then things, it might not have, that might have not been so like crystal clear. I think we take for granted some of the like, it's good to take care of people, right? But this might have come in a time where, there was horrible wars and, people like it might not have been as evolved.
That's what I'm saying. It's actually so ridiculous to dismiss something like that because you assume that it's old and therefore out of date or something. Like that's such a stupid reason to dismiss something. It's like, man, you could listen to it and they're like, yeah, I get it. It's like, I don't think you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually do that. Actually go and live it and then see what happens. And without some attitude of like, I tried it for a day and nothing happened. Like you didn't let it really penetrate and like understand that, go learn more things so that it becomes clear to you.
Thousands of years later, these truths are still relevant.
They are, and they're good reminders. And, we've kind of been sidetracked by science in some ways to put our faith into some of these things. Yeah. And just remember, it's not there for nothing. Everything's got its purpose.
Fire as the sacred symbol of Ahura Mazda. It is considered to be pure and represents the truth. Inside Zoroastrian fire temples, their priests conduct all rituals in front of fire because it shows the presence of Ahura Mazda. But the fire is never actually worshipped itself. This is very important. Zoroastrians do not worship fire. Zoroastrianism also isn't a congregational religion. Most worship is done at home, and Zoroastrians tend to only go to fire temples during the 7 holy days or festivals they have each year. The most sacred fires in Zoroastrianism need to be made up of fire from 16 different sources, one of which needs to be ignited by lightning. 6. the Avesta. The Avesta is the holy book of the Zoroastrians and one of the oldest scriptures.
What if fire that's created by lightning actually has some
Power.
difference to it?
Yeah, it might. I don't know.
You think how hard it would be to like get a hold of some fire that
Well, maybe it's not as... It might not be as hard as you think, because in lightning storms, that's where forest fires come from. Stuff like that. They might go harness the fire from they just wait for a fire to start in the forest and like, oh, there's some lightning fire.
maybe
Go get it.
Listen, I know how that sounds, me saying like maybe it does have magical whatever, man. There are people that collect rocks, there's people that do all kinds of stuff, you know, but in the realm that's pretty hardcore to me. Like, this fire is from lightning fire.
Yeah.
You know, there's something hardcore about that. Just
And
maybe
it looks like we're about to get into their book. So
maybe it's like ionized a certain way or something, you know?
I'd like to get this book. It's got fire on the book cover.
Yeah.
It is written in an ancient language known as Avestan, which was the language spoken by Zoroaster roughly 3,500 years ago. The Avesta contains hymns from Zoroaster himself known as gathas. These 17 gathas are deeply important to Zoroastrians, and most Zoroastrian belief is based on them. Due to the violence Zoroastrians have suffered throughout history, only a fraction of the Avesta survives today. For example, Zoroastrians believe that when Alexander the Great conquered the Achaemenid Empire, he burned the royal palace at Persepolis and its library to the ground, destroying a complete copy of the Avesta, written in gold on 12,000 goat skins. This might be why he isn't called Alexander the Great in Iran, but rather Alexander the Accursed. Even more of the Avesta was lost during the Arab, Turkic and Mongol invasions of Iran. Yeah, Zoroastrians really couldn't catch a break there for a while. You can read the Avesta online for free, and a lot of it is extremely beautiful and thought-provoking. But if you're a dunce like me, you'll love this section about how hedgehogs, known as the dog with the prickly back, serve Ahura Mazda, and turtles have sided with Angermanyu. Or the following chapter, atoning for the murder of a water dog, which is about how you'll be punished if you kill an otter. So you should be like the prickly boy and the water dog and help fight against evil. When the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, Cyrus the Great, freed the Jews from Babylon, he not only showed the world the religious tolerance that Zoroastrian rulers would become known for, but he changed world history at the same time. For freeing the Jews, Cyrus was praised as a messiah in the book of Isaiah. This meant that Jewish thinkers were obviously quite receptive to Zoroastrians and Zoroastrian ideas. It is in that book of Isaiah that Yahweh is for the first time spoken of as a single creator god, like Ahura Mazda. The Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity and Islam owe a lot to Zoroastrianism, because while Zoroaster's teachings don't sound too revolutionary today, ideas like one all-powerful god, a cosmic battle between a loving god and their satanic nemesis, angels and archangels, a heavenly judgment that places a person in heaven or hell, and a final cataclysmic judgment that would purify the world and bring about the kingdom of God, where the good will live in eternal paradise, which is a Persian word, were all brand new ideas at that time. This means that while small today, Zoroastrianism has influenced the most sacred beliefs of billions of people. Even George R.R. Martin borrowed some Zoroastrian thought to make his religions in A Song of Ice and Fire, as you can see here.
Lord of Light is based in part on a couple of the dualist religions that actually existed in our world. One of them, the Zoroaster, I can never say that.
Zoroastrian.
Yeah, whatever that is, yes. And the other one.
Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds are one of the most important things in Zoroastrianism. So, those are the basics of Zoroastrianism. It isn't even close to covering everything. I probably only covered about 1%. One video simply can't cover everything. Religions are too diverse, too deep, and mean too many different things to different people. But learning even the basics of anything that thousands of people deeply care about gives us an insight into our fellow humans' worldview, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I like how at the end he was kind of like showing how much Zoroastrianism, although it is such a, it's a much smaller religion, which is kind of sad because who knows how much longer it might be around. Maybe it'll make a comeback. But how it has influenced the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
Like, would you even classify Zoroastrianism as a part of the Abrahamic, even because it's so close and it was prior to all of them?
I don't know.
I wonder if they get any clout from because Like, I didn't even know Zoroastrianism was a thing.
Huh.
It's like,
Who knows? Maybe they'll join up with another religion and make some like mega religion. Like, I've seen churches do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen churches do like whatever Protestant churches where the numbers are dwindling, and they'll just join up with another church and make one bigger church.
yeah.
I don't. It's probably ridiculous. And the other thing I want to say is, hey man, I collect rocks. Like I'm not a rock collector, but I'm just saying I'm not judging the process of doing something that. I'm just imagining somebody might say something like, "Oh, you collect lightning fire," you know?
Yeah.
How superstitious. I'm not against any kind of thing that people do for whatever reason.
Yeah.
In terms of that. Yeah.
Well, it was a great informative video. Go check out Cogito and all their stuff. They're a great channel. And if you liked this reaction video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend, and everybody. Until next time, stay spiritual.